All right, so personally, I think it's ridiculous that we ask kids to decide what they want to do, what career path they want to take when they're teenagers. But having said that, I was one of those rare kids that kind of knew exactly what it was I wanted to do. Going back to middle school is when I really got into the music. I would come home every day, get off the bus, watch Rap City. There was only one hip hop radio station in Atlanta at the time, believe it or not, and they only played hip hop from 6 to 10. And so I would go to my room and just be in my room listening to Ryan Cameron every day. And I just remember him being so funny, so engaging, and just so good all around at what he did that it made me want to do that. And that's the career that I wanted to have, even in middle school. Also in middle school, my sister was looking at colleges, and we stopped by Georgia Southern. And it wasn't one of those things where I was like, all right, I'm definitely going here. We didn't even get out of the car, I don't think. We just kind of drove around the campus and looked at it. But something about it just stuck out in my mind. But anyway, going back to high school, I had a job, and I spent most of my money on CDs. Like, I was a kid that had all the CDs. When the basketball team wanted a certain song to go out to, they would ask me, and 9 times out of 10, I would have it. Also in high school, it was my turn to start answering the question, what is it that you want to do when you leave high school, which is ridiculous, but you feel that pressure that you have to have an answer. And so my answer was I wanted to be on the radio. I didn't know anything else that it seemed too big for me to do. I didn't actually believe I could get this done, but it was the answer to the question. I felt like I had to have an answer to that question. When we started looking at colleges, it was either Georgia State or Georgia Southern for me. My mom wanted me to go to Georgia State. I wanted to go to Georgia Southern. She didn't think I was ready to be that far away. She wanted me to live at home and go to Georgia State. And I remember we took a tour of both schools. We took a tour of the Georgia State radio station, the Georgia Southern radio station. I remember the Georgia State radio station, and I may have just been so frightened and intimidated because it looked so high tech and so incredible. And I was just like, I'm not ready for this. And Georgia Southern's radio station was the exact opposite. The equipment looked like it was from the 50s or 60s. And I was just like, all right, this is a little more comfortable. I had the grades to get into both, but for whatever reason, Georgia State didn't accept me. So Georgia Southern was my only option, as fate would have it. And that's where I went. And the radio station meeting, I think, was my first week of school. And I even remember then, like, being too intimidated to go to that and thinking, like, am I really going to do this? And, you know, this is the path you said you wanted to go down. I told everybody I was going to do it, and I was going to get it started. And I went to the meeting, and they gave me a show from 3 to 7 a.m., Saturday night, Sunday mornings, whatever you consider 3 to 7 a.m. to be. And I was on that show for a while, for a couple semesters until somebody joined me and kind of changed the trajectory of my career at that point. And I guess that's what we'll start next time.